Or you had mentioned that you said you've always had an interest in witnessing rather than the object.
Yeah.
So was there not a shift for you at some point around that? Like
as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a child.
Yeah, again, the awakened mind is not an experience. So it doesn't have the same memory traces that an ice cream cone I had yesterday. It's different. But as a child, I presume that I was coming out of deep sleep into a deeply loving silence. And I mean, you can't really prove it. And you kind of wonder, well, have I just invented that story because I'm a monk now? You know, it could be. But what was for sure true was that whatever I tried, it wasn't it. Whatever it was. So subconsciously, there was something in my makeup that had experienced something very profound, and that all through my adolescence, and I'd do something intensely. That's not it. That's not it. And that basically, I went to university, and that wasn't it in the first week. And somehow I hung around university and did a bit of work, not much. And I eventually hit the road. And then eventually, when I was in Almora, in India, I read Krishnamurti. Mm. And then Krishnamurti, when I read that, I said, oh yeah, that's it. So that brought me back to the conscious adult knowing of what my task is. The next day it was gone. Mm. And then 2 weeks later, I met a Buddhist monk, an American from Detroit, Jewish. And he talked about the texts, and he got me into the canon. And then he talked about monasticism, and I saw stars. Mm. You wouldn't think, because I was a long hair, and I was a long hair. It sounds like a type of dog. I guess it was like, what he told me was that there is a way of life. There's this thing called monasticism, where people do this. I said, really? And they feed you? So then I made my way to Thailand and met Ajahn Chah. So because of the Krishnamurti experience, I've always thought that, I must have had that in childhood. Because it was like a returning home. Returning home.
That was a summoner? I think
Bodhisattva.
Yeah, Bodhisattva.
Yeah.
He
was Jnanasuchi when I met him. He was a bhikkhu. That was a trip. He inspires me to be a bhikkhu. We agree to go to Thailand together. He decides, well, I want to go to Nepal first. I'll meet you in Calcutta. I said, okay. I don't know if he must have been using money, but I didn't know Vinay or whatever. Then he sends me a postcard. I'm in Almora. He sends me a postcard of this road. And you what? You can do that? And then I lost my courage to go to Thailand on my own. And then I got hepatitis. Mm-hmm. And I was broke. Not good being broke with hepatitis in India. And then my grandfather died, and he was in Germany. And my grandmother shuttered me a ticket to go back to Germany. So I made my way back to Germany. My mother didn't even recognize me when I came to the door. And then I hung around there for a while, and then I went and worked in Switzerland. And during that time, I lost the insight that I wanted to be a monk. I lost it completely, and this amazes me, because it was such a strong determination, and I just got caught in my old existential despair again. So then I decided, I earned enough money. I thought, well, what am I going to do now? I don't know. Good friends. I think I'll go to Hamburg and try to get a boat to South America. So I went up to Hamburg, and I started to look for work on the docks, and it was so degenerate. It was so pathetic. And then I felt so lost. Like, what are you doing with your life? I'm about 24 now. And then I just went to Hamburg University because I could speak German, and I hung around universities, and I ended up in a student travel bureau. It's a true story. And I go to the person at the counter, and I said, could you give me a list of flights? She says, where to? I said, well, I don't care. Really? And 2 weeks later, there was a flight to Bangkok. I said, that's what I'm supposed to do. I bought the ticket, went back to Goslar, said goodbye to my grandmother, and flew to Thailand. Then in Thailand, to continue.
So she got you a ticket just randomly to Thailand?
Well, the first one going to Thailand. As soon as I saw Bangkok, I said, now, Bodhisattva had told me, this is before the internet, right? This was 1972 or 3, yeah. And Bodhisattva had said, there's a town called Chiang Mai. And I've heard that there might be a Western monk in this town called Chiang Mai. So I get off the plane and I asked the information, but how do you say Western monk in Thai? So I think one of the first words I learned was Pracharam. I get this, my little Pracharam. And where's Chiang Mai? So I get a train up to Chiang Mai. Now I'm walking around Chiang Mai, Pracharam, Pracharam, Pracharam. It took me 3 days. And I found Santitito.
Oh,
big ceremony.
Yeah.
So Santitito takes me down to Wat Mahatha, and he connects me with Prabhupada. Did you ever know him? He was at Buddha Deepa Temple. He died.
I
married a Scottish lady.
Yeah, I never met him.
So he could speak English, and he sets me up at Wat Mahatha, and then he ordained me as a samanera. And then he took me to Ajahn Monastery. That's a story, isn't it? You have to hold. Good question. So, Sure.
Oh yeah, so this is actually kind of similar to Bhante Jayasara's, and I asked Luang Por Viradhammo this yesterday, but I just figured I'd put another perspective, which is, given the kind of attrition rate for monastics, I was just curious, maybe, what do you think is something that has some aspect of, I don't know, something that you have that has really allowed you, or something that you see in common maybe with Luang Por Viradhammo and Ajahn?
We're Canadian. We're stubborn. I just couldn't figure anything else to do. I mean, I often hated monastic life, but I knew it was my mind that was, like, I would often say to myself, if you can't do it here, how are you going to figure this out anywhere else? So there was always that underlying realization that even though I'm going through a lot of different, I also had Luang Por Cha. Having met someone like that, you just like, whatever you say, sir, I will do it 10 times over. And then I had Luang Por Sumedho. I'm really gifted in teachers. And then I had these incredible Kalyanamitta, like at Wat Nana Cha. We're a pretty high-powered bunch, quite determined, and all the Americans disrobed. Except Luang Por Sumedho.
Yeah.
Now the 3 Canadians, they stuck it up.
Yeah.
So it must be that.
Is it in the water? Is it the water, the Canadian water?
Probably it's canoeing.
It's the journey.
So it is something like to do with Barami too. I think, like, although I was a very shy person, I was courageous. I did crazy things and things like that. So it wasn't like I wasn't willing to take on. And I think, like, someone like Ajahn Chah, just through his being and his encouragement, could keep you going for a long time. So for me, Ajahn Chah inspired me, but Luang Por Sumedho molded me. Because he really understood my psyche. He understood fear, worry, doubt. He understood my culture. And he was very generous. And I spent 2 years in London with him, the years in Chithurst. So I was just with him, listening for 4 years, 5 years. And that was really such a gift. And then he was, I think, wise enough to send me off. And then I had to, I was in charge of Harnham the first 2 years, and then New Zealand Monastery. So I had projects where I could grow up as a man. And I think that's important. that, okay, you have to make it and do this and learn from that. I think, so for me, I had this possibility of expression and all the errors you make and all of that, and learning in that way. And just really good kalyanamitta. Like being a teacher, even though you're nervous and you're afraid, it is a gift to be able to see someone be helped by a few words. I mean, that's very touching. So, although there was the fearful part, there was also the fulfilling part. And I found that teaching was a very creative, because I'm not a text guy. You asked me a Pali word and I won't know it, but I think I know the basics. And my kind of pragmatism is always looking for a way of, creating examples and talking, which to me is a kind of creative activity. Bodhisattva would say to me, if you can't write it, you don't know it. Then I would say to myself, if you can't say it, you don't know it. If you can't speak it in that way. And that's the way we're trained, in a kind of extemporaneous manner. Yeah, so I guess there's a lot of barmi and things like that. Good fortune, yeah. A good body too. I'm really quite strong. Healthy. But I am Canadian. Please feed me tomorrow.